By week's end, a reminder that import taxes are also for that small package that you're waiting for from across the border.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Bitwarden Password Manager, designed to empower travelers with access to secure logins from any device wherever they are. Available at bitwarden.com. And by LHH. LHH, a global talent solutions company, combines craft and care to make work beautiful. Recruitment, development, career transition. Learn more at lhh.com/beautiful.
I'm David Brancaccio. You have about another day to get that small package sent in from another country without a new import tax. The tariff exemption for the smaller purchases ends on Friday, and the tariff starts. It's like the duty-free stores closing. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer has that.
The exemption is known as de minimis, a Latin phrase describing something trivial or insignificant. In this case, it refers to packages worth $800 or less. The thinking was it wasn't worth trying to collect import taxes on small packages. But starting Friday, those parcels will be subject to the tariff for whatever country they're shipped from. Some countries' postal services say they'll suspend deliveries of packages to the U.S. because of confusion over the new rules. President Trump closed the loophole because he said it was used to send drugs and counterfeit products to the U.S. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says the number of shipments entering the U.S. claiming the de minimis exemption increased by more than 600% over the past 10 years. The end of the exemption could cause supply disruptions and shortages if small packages pile up at customs. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook indicates she plans to sue to stop President Trump from firing her. By law, America's central bank was made independent from White House and Congress, and a firing would need to be for cause. So far, proof of that cause has not been provided. While Cook is on the team that is on track to cut interest rates by perhaps 0.25 percentage point 3 weeks from today, President Trump wants rates cut by 3 full percentage points. If the Fed becomes more subject to presidential pressure, this could mean higher inflation and a lower dollar. Marketplace's Justin Ho has that.
If the president gets what he wants, yields on U.S. government bonds would fall, and that would make other countries' bonds more attractive. Chuck Tomes at Manulife Investment Management says in that case, if investors in Europe, for instance, decide to sell off U.S. treasuries and buy European ones,
then they would be selling U.S. dollars and buying, say, in this situation, euros as a European investor.
And less demand for the dollar pushes down its value. Another reason investors might sell U.S. dollars is that lower interest rates would probably cause inflation. Sebastian Mallaby is senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations.
You don't want to hold a currency that's going to be devalued by inflation.
President Trump has argued in favor of a weaker dollar, which can make American exports more competitive overseas. But Mallaby says more inflation would eat away at those benefits because it would raise production costs here at home.
Because what you gain on the value of the dollar going down, you lose in terms of lost competitiveness because your prices are going up when you produce something in the U.S.
Mallaby says as the president's attacks on the Fed's independence continue, along with his attacks on other American financial institutions, the dollar's decline could accelerate. I'm Justin Ho for Marketplace.
The 30-year government bond is volatile this morning, and it's pushed the 30-year interest rate up to 4.93%. Stock index futures are little changed on a late summer morning.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Baird. Baird strives to attract and retain top financial professionals, providing stability and continuity of advice for clients across market environments. More information at BairdDifference.com. And by This Old House Radio Hour podcast, answering listeners' DIY and renovation questions and diving into home design trends, available in podcast apps.
NVIDIA of Santa Clara, California, makes microprocessors that do the heavy lifting of artificial intelligence. Later today, the company releases its spring into summer results, a must-see event for many investors. Reporter Daniel Ackerman has that.
If you're a tech investor right now, you're not greeting people with the standard, "Good morning, how you doing?" It's more like,
"Happy NVIDIA week."
That's how Gil Luria of D.A. Davidson answered my call.
It's the biggest week of the quarter every quarter now.
There are Super Bowl-like watch parties for NVIDIA's results calls. The chip designer is the most valuable publicly traded firm on earth.
NVIDIA sits at the center of AI.
Brian Colello is a tech analyst at Morningstar. He says the Amazons, Microsofts, and OpenAIs of the world all rely on chips designed by NVIDIA.
Every developer touches NVIDIA in some way.
Which is why the firm, all by itself, makes up 8% of the entire S&P 500 market cap. Stacy Rasgon is an analyst with Bernstein Research.
The amount of growth and profits that we've seen out of NVIDIA over the last several years has just been astonishing. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I've been doing this job almost 20 years.
The company has faced some headwinds, though, says Rasgon, particularly of the geopolitical variety. Dating back to 2022,
various levels of export controls have been placed on their parts specifically for shipments into China.
This month, the Trump administration allowed NVIDIA to sell certain chips to China, but only in exchange for the U.S. government taking a 15% cut of the revenue. And across the Pacific, there are concerns too, says Angelo Zeno of CFRA Research.
The Chinese government is concerned about maybe some of the security issues tied to these chips.
China has speculated there could be some kind of back door allowing remote access to the chips. NVIDIA denies that. Zeno says NVIDIA's fate hinges on how this trade spat shakes out.
It's very important for NVIDIA to sell into China because half of the world's developers are actually in China.
Closer to home, says Gil Luria of D.A. Davidson, the limit on NVIDIA's sales doesn't have to do with the chips themselves, but rather with where they ultimately end up.
The bottlenecks now have to do with being able to put up a warm data center in order to plug in the chip.
He says tech firms can't seem to build data centers fast enough, in part because of the grid-straining amount of electricity needed to run the computers and keep them cool.
The computations are so intense that if you don't cool them, they will melt the wires.
Which is why Luria says the next big thing in AI is better HVAC. I'm Daniel Ackerman for Marketplace.
And after the internet and many customers did not like Cracker Barrel's corporatized new logo, the restaurant chain has caved and put the fella with his elbow on the barrel back on. Previous logo re-embraced. Stock in Cracker Barrel Old Country Store Corporation closed up 6% yesterday and is up another about 5% in pre-market trading right now. I'm David Brancaccio. You're listening to the Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.